guys, welcome to the channel. So recently we watched Late Night with the Devil. And if you don't know what it is, it's a new movie released a few days ago revolving around a television show hosted by Jack Delroy during a Halloween special that goes wrong when he tries to push the limit to get higher ratings to become number one. We all watched it together. How did you guys feel about it?
I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think it's definitely a must watch for any horror fans. I think it was just really like original and different. A lot of times when you watch these horror movies, they have the sort of the same tropes that you can kind of see coming. This one was a little bit different. But yeah, I think first impressions, I liked it a lot, and I would definitely watch again.
Yeah, definitely hit the head on that one. What I really like about it, it's extremely unique. Well, not extremely, but it's definitely one of the more unique movies out there. It has a nice twist in the end, so it keeps you engaged enough that I want to keep watching, and then it just keeps going. And I honestly loved the film, so I definitely recommend it. Definitely for the horror fans.
Yeah, I think what I really like about it a lot is the approach that they had, right? The cinematics was really interesting, and like Camille said, the whole premise of the talk show, hey, we're trying to get this one shot for the show to be number one again, kind of gives that essence of, or that element of almost being desperate, and which kind of led them to invite a very interesting talent or individual. So yeah.
I think the thing is I have different views from a lot of these young gentlemen, and I think that's like the cinematography I really like, but I did have a lot of expectations going into this, especially after hearing and seeing that Stephen King had a really or bragged about it, saying it's a great movie, and I think that kind of like ruined it for me. But like I said, going back, the cinematography I really like. They really had the essence of being in the 1977 feel, and that's what I like. And I think it's hard for like directors to catch that essence of being around that time, right? And what I heard that they actually had to pull it apart because our technology is so advanced nowadays that like even like they had to take everything away to make it feel more natural and of that time. So I mean, I feel like they captured that very well. They did really good on their cinematography and the things.
So were you just disappointed in like the plot overall? Because the interesting thing about the movie is it just takes place during one night, so basically just during one episode of this like public access TV show.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. That was the thing. When I go into movies, I take to account like the whole story, and I do like when you're put into different adventures, or you put into different scenes. But yeah, like you said, you're in that one setting the whole time, and I think that I expected a little bit more from that, because again, it was highly praised.
I gotta say though, I understand, like, because I am the same way as Camille. I gotta see different scenes. I think that gives a different dynamic. They did a great job of giving you the different feels, even though it's all in the same timeline. Right? They all kind of have different dynamics. They gave you that second take. They give you almost different feel in different scenes.
Too. They give backstories of the demon. You know how she was from the cult house, and then eventually burnt down. They gave us like a good 30-second clip of it, but it definitely gave us a great understanding of whereabouts the girl came from. And one thing I really would like to add is the acting in that movie was great. Jack Delroy. Yeah. The main actor, he was amazing. The possessed girl, she was creepy throughout the movie, and so I really give
wasn't that actor actually in Oppenheimer?
I believe
he had a lot of like really good work recently.
Yeah, even the the doctor that was keeping control of the devil.
Like Dr.
Right.
June? Dr.
Yes.
June Ross.
She's in a couple of movies and she did amazing as well. And another person that I think really deserves some credit is because in the movie they kind of give us different. One of the reasons I really like it is they give us different perspectives. So one of the characters they brought in the show was this psychic who was, faking people, and now he's working to uncover fakes themselves, which is a very interesting ideologies clashing. And he was like criticizing, everything that they're doing is, whatever. I thought that the actor did an amazing job as well. So, three biggest roles were those three: the main character, the girl, and I'll call her the antagonist.
Just to go back to what you were saying about the setting thing, about it being in one, I think the director did sort of take that into consideration, because he did do the thing, the whole movie was actually not filmed in 1080p. It was kind of like a 480p.
Right, yeah. I love that. Yeah, it was unique. That's the unique aspect.
And then another thing is, remember how they keep flashing in and out where, we're on air. And
exactly.
then after that, they come out and then it's a black and white.
So that was
real
behind the
time
scenes stuff.
was black and white.
So that's what I was going to kind of mention is I think that was maybe the director sort of knowing that we're going to be in the same scene all the time. Right. So how do I make it feel different? Oh, well, when we're off air, I'll turn it black and white. And so at least you get a different feel, a different setting. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to throw that in because it is true. The whole movie, aside from a few flashbacks and things like that, is all just takes place on that one little building, the one little area.
Yeah. Right, and you know what? You mentioned also the backstory, and the way that they did it, the whole movie, they were able to kind of catch everyone's feelings and their point of views, and you can see that by the camera and zooming in and having them whisper to each other. I don't know if you guys remember that, but during that time, even Dr. June, Ross, Mitchell, and Delroy, they would be whispering at each other at one point. They're like, I told you we shouldn't do this because
she's not her normal self.
Yeah, she's worse or
she's
some
distracted and she's not paying attention to me.
And it's nice that you can they actually zoom into everyone and their point of view. There's times where even that skeptic, what he would be he would come in and out the scene when it's black and white, and he'll talk to Delroy. So we can really capture. They really captured how well what their point of view was. And they did it well.
Adding on to that, too, with the skeptic, they showed a scene where he was talking to that mom and daughter that one of the psychics, kind of connected with.
I love that part.
And so it kind of gives you that, whoa, hold on.
Were they giving you... You're talking about
the audience.
The first guy.
The first guy. The first psychic that connected with the mom and daughter.
Crystal.
But now there's also that skeptic, right? That really talked to them, to the audience. Were there anything that gave you, a questionnaire or something like that? So that was interesting to me because on the back end, he's really kind of doing his own research, trying to add things up in his mind.
Yeah, actually, now that you bring in that point, because I remember that part, he was first naming general things. So I came into this movie, having a pretty questionable mindset and open mindset, but he was like, oh, I have a name, it's blah blah blah. But then when he started mentioning, remember the first guy he calls out, kind of makes fun of him, right? And then he was kind of like, oh, he's a fraud, right?
Yeah.
But then the second name he brings up, oh, he finally got a hit, right? But then at this point, I'm still skeptical. And then he started mentioning some things. And a lot of the things he was mentioning was still pretty broad, right? And then after that, he gets this really, really strong feedback. And he started gets really bothered by it. And he's like, oh, I have a name. Who it's for, who that is. And all of a sudden, they cut, right? And after they cut, he was in such disarray. And after that, he comes back in. and he was the Jack Leroy actually ends up revealing that name is for him. So that kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies there on that one. But at that point, I was still skeptical.
Right.
But then throughout, you see that character started getting worse and worse, sweating profusely, nose bleeding and everything.
Yes.
So I was just like, wait, he is not a fraud. That's what I started thinking. And the characters they brought in, all special individuals, I thought was, they were well made.
Since we're talking about characters, what I really thought was interesting was like the way that they did have a skeptical person, and then the believers, the skeptic and believers, and of course the host. But that was interesting how the story developed with having those people around, because that's how they made each scene so interesting. So
Yeah, like I don't know if we mentioned it, but it was a Halloween special, right? And
Right.
so that was what the extra spooky thing was. So like you said, they had on that guy who was supposed to be like a spiritual reader, psychic, and then the skeptic guy, but
The skeptic guy was an illusionist. He was the master illusionist at one point, and he started kind of turning back. And he said that if anyone can prove me paranormal wrong, I will write them $100,000 check.
All the way up to 500,000.
Yeah,
And then later on increased to 500.
he sort of like mirrored the real life Amazing Randy. That was something we kind of talked about offline, but that was a real person who was doing those kind of things in the 70s and the 80s. He offered anybody $1 million that could prove any kind of real psychic phenomenon.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was about to mention.
Yeah.
I thought I saw something on.
So I think that was
video
sort of parodying that character in real life, but I liked it because I thought it was really cool. It was like, and it's just, sometimes in a lot of these movies, right? Like we watch The Conjurings and things like that, and it's like it's more like I don't know. I guess we don't get. We haven't seen a clear skeptic like this in any other movies. And also one that was like well trained, because like when the illusionist or the psychic guy, when he was like throwing up, the guy was like, oh, that's an old vaudeville trick. It's just regurgitation. Like, and so I kind of like that, how we got like an educated skeptic at this time.
Because he was the master.
Mm-hmm.
He used to,
He was doing that to everyone else,
exactly.
and so he was saying like, I could do that too.
Talk about the hypnotism though.
Right. Yeah. That was a big great
cool,
scene.
right?
The hypnotism scene, that was amazing. So before the big drop of the devil actually showing, and I think was the most epic part of the whole movie, was the reveal of the devil, because it was, and I feel like the movie did a great job of building anticipation. It was dark, all of a sudden the switch, and then the little girl first turns into like a man-looking thing, and
because she's possessed.
yeah, because she was possessed, and we'll go back to that later. But going back to what you said about the illusion, so he puts the whole entire audience into an illusion, thinking that the sidekick, I don't remember his name, the sidekick,
Gus or something maybe. Right?
Gus, yeah.
He started like there's worms coming out of him, and started digging it out and everything like that. And we were watching this real time, and I was actually really disgusted.
Yeah.
And then later on, they rewind back. They show us the clip. Everyone was like, "That's not how I remembered it," and it kind of puts a question in your mind, like, was that devil that they just showed before that, was that also an illusion by the doctor, and that's what he was trying to portray.
Right. So just to kind of like preface what you're saying, like in the scene before that, they had the little girl, and then the other
Right.
doctor, they sort of did, because she had brought her on to Jack's show saying that she believed that the little girl was possessed.
Right.
And then so they did sort of like a live reading to prove this was true. And in the live reading, the girl's face changes, she levitates and all those kind of things. And then so of course the skeptic then goes like, I don't believe that's true, I can do the same thing. And then that's when he does what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, no, if you guys don't realize this, I actually love the movie. I mean,
it was great.
It wasn't a perfect movie by any means. There were some really corny parts, and I felt like they could have omitted it, and they kind of went back to the corny effects back in the 70s type. If I hated those things, and they did put that in the movie, and I didn't like it. But that didn't destroy the movie altogether for me. It was just kind of like.
I almost feel like that's what makes it the whole part of making it feel like it's a timeline.
It's like 70s,
right?
Yeah.
It's the 70s.
Honestly,
they were
like
that
was,
back in the day.
That's why it was so cheesy, and that's so. I'm like, is that really part of it? I'm like, is it supposed to be a show now, or is it supposed? You know what I mean? Is it supposed to be like legit, and then is it supposed to be like part of that timeline? Like,
I think it is. I think it really is.
But remember, there was that part where her head split open and thunderbolts started coming out. That's where I was just like, bro, you're starting to lose me. You're starting to lose me. And that's the only part I really didn't like. And then the trance after that. But then they kind of pulled it back together towards the ending, which I was really, pretty satisfied about. But it kind of, instead of like concluding and tying up all the loose ends, it kind of makes you ask more questions whether you're an illusion or not. Like I started questioning, like, was this the end, or is there more? Did he kill everyone, or was it the devil that killed everyone? Because it was very confusing to me,
So that in the beginning for me, I was kind of confused, right? I think they kind of give you that almost. I thought like an open interpretation type of scenery, but then I saw the bodies. How one was burnt, one was the neck, right, with Gus. So now you realize, okay, well, there's no way he could have done everything to that extent, those group, right?
I
to that
agree.
extent, like with.
So
with the
I believe it was how it was supposed to be, how we've seen it, and how I feel like that's how they died. Obviously, like we skip to the future, and then he stabs the possessed, or Lily, the project, or what was it? The project.
Yes, the sacrifice supposedly
for because there was those important artifacts from the
next thing I wanted to talk about were the artifacts.
Was it 4 artifacts? I don't remember how much exactly there was. I remember there was a knife, there was a skull, and then other things, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we didn't mention the girl. It was rescued from a cult, right?
Right.
Yes.
And then they retrieved some artifacts from the house.
Yeah, so Dr. June actually brings in a few artifacts for the show, and one of them we assume were the necklace, and then of course the dagger was one of them. I believe there was a skull or a photo, and then there was one more item that we didn't quite know, or unless you guys know. It was to me it looked like a container.
Yeah, it looked like an ashtray to me.
Of some sort.
So, I was thinking, or someone brought this up, the way that they were killed, were all kind of using the artifacts that was on that plate or table. Because, going back to let's go back to the doctor, it's the most obvious one. What killed her was the necklace, right? And we're assuming that's from the cult in itself. And then, obviously the next obvious one was the knife, the one that
he does.
See, my thing though was the necklace from the cult. I think it was just her.
I think it is from the cult.
So maybe we have to double check that at some point.
Unsure
but I think it's just her own kind of like protection of some sort,
or how
right?
she
with how she practices,
and get,
right?
how she practices to get like the demon.
Yeah, but to talk to them. The symbol on that necklace was not holy. I did have a good look on it.
You did.
It was interesting. It seemed like it was related to the cult, but yeah.
Cultish.
Oh,
are we able to like pull it up and see online?
We can definitely.
Or how did you see it?
Well, they did a couple of close-ups on that.
Yeah, like when she was throwing it in her face a little bit.
Right.
Because you remember she was saying, "Oh, come back, suppress," or whatever. She showed it, and then
she was kind of using it like how you would use a cross versus a vampire.
Right.
It was.
But
more of a protection.
Ward off
like
the evil.
Face in the face of, I believe, from the I forgot the name of the devil they were portraying.
A Braxis or something.
It looked like a
Braxis.
portrait of Braxis to me, kind of like and I was just
like in her book. Is that how you got it?
No, because they showed Braxis a couple times in the flashbacks, and I felt like they kind of did show it. I'm not 100% sure on it. Don't take my word for that, but that's why I think that was related. And on top of that, the knife, and then we think that there's an ashtray looking thing, and remember, someone was burnt. And in the skull, remember, Gus's head was split open. So, his head was cut.
And this was all
No, what happened to Gus? His neck was broken, right? And then he fell through the glass.
He got twisted. You're right.
And then he fell through the glass.
And then,
be careful.
No, her neck was slit with the necklace. She was like lifted.
I don't know. Maybe it's just my me trying to just piece things together. Maybe I'm just being way out there, But I felt like it's related.
No, it definitely is.
Because I felt like the director was trying to tie some things together.
Yeah, so what I basically thought was they basically did a ritual on set.
Yes.
Like unknowingly they used all of like the items and did it, and so that's why she was kind of like
I think it's a great point.
Yeah, that's it.
Lumabas.
Mm-hmm. Almost summoned and triggered that, what they were trying to create in that house to begin with.
Yeah, because we also talked about, during the whole reading, I guess as a precaution, they strapped the little girl to the chair. And then after the reading is done, Jack actually helps her get out of the restraints using the sacrificial dagger. So in our mind, that's kind of like, is that releasing the demon, right?
Like
I thought he was gonna cut himself.
That was a good fortune.
Put blood on the kid, and then all of a sudden he'll break loose.
That's exactly what I wanted to go back to. The things that I kind of really didn't like about it is that dagger, the scenes that he kept bringing that dagger everywhere. He's pouring his coffee. He has the dagger as he's talking to people. I was just waiting for him to cut someone,
right?
While he's walking back and forth in the set, and like he's like, oh, oops, I have the knife, and he puts it down next to the kid who was possessed. So I'm like, what are you doing, sir?
Right.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate plot device, right? They had to figure out how they can get it to get to the next. But yeah, that kind of, because it was an active set, and you would think people would be removing items and being a little more careful and watchful.
I never worked on a set ever, so someone from that background could probably correct us once they've seen this movie.
Exactly.
How chaotic can a set be that you forget there's a dagger, a deadly weapon in someone's hand, and then just drop it in front of somewhere?
I'm sure it can be chaotic, but I'm sure they pay attention.
Chaotic, but the thing is, that is your baby. That is exactly what you're working on. So you have to be cautious and know what is going on in the set at all times.
You
have a
Especially
crowd,
that was a very important
crew,
episode, right?
You have the Dr. June, and then you also have the host. I mean, that host Delroy was very, 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 very.
Delroy, I keep saying Delroy.
Talking about all those artifacts, I do have a question for you guys. Remember when, that one scene when everything just started going crazy, electronics going off a little bit, and they did show the frame. I noticed it was empty. But when things were going crazy, when the girl was possessed, did you guys not see some sort of face there? Or
it was.
There was.
I told you it was a photo, right?
I want to go back.
But was it there already, or was it? Because I looked at it again, it was empty. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I thought I saw him move, but was it just me? Because we're watching the movie theater. There's so many things that's huge. I felt like it changed.
Right, and there were a couple of things too. And when she was strapped, and they're doing the rewind of oh hey, you know what, let's check everything else, and you see okay, let's do the rewind. I thought they caught the face, because when she was going like this and talking to the host, all of a sudden, yes, there was a glitch where the girl's face was smiling on the other side. So I saw that. But then when we went to that frame, it was actually the wife holding the host. They got me there.
So,
I thought.
So that's why I really like this movie. Another thing that you guys might have missed in the movie, there was a lot of times in that movie where the wife was actually with Jack. There was a silhouette. There was
she was
face.
behind him.
And in some of the, put it in commercial, right? when they put in commercials, you kind of see a small reflection of the wife's face.
I did not catch
Yeah,
that.
I caught that.
Yeah, I missed that too.
They showed that a few times. I don't remember exactly how many times, but some of the things that they put there was like, oh, I'm pretty sure that's the wife's face. Again, maybe I'm just going crazy. Start just, maybe it's just me being overzealous because me liking this movie so much. But I felt like there was that face that was in there. Remember how they said that the devil was always trying to deceive you? And eventually, that's what did happen. They managed to deceive Jack. Remember in the ending scene of him hugging his wife and wife
ending
was,
the misery.
The wife was like, "Oh,
I'm in
end
pain.
me. I'm in pain. Blah blah blah." And all of a sudden, he's like, he finally reaches out and.
Was that the quote you were thinking about?
No, that's way different. But this one, remember, it was the trickery. The trickery of the devil was there because remember, he ended up killing the girl,
Lily.
not his wife.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was interesting how, trickery was there. That's why it led me to think that maybe he killed everyone. Maybe he was tricked by the demon to do all those things. But again,
for sure, that is a possible ending.
Yeah.
That it could be like just him going crazy at the end, and he ended up killing everyone.
Yeah.
Because like splitting of the head is
happened.
really weird to
never
begin with.
happened.
It's like a show.
Yeah, it was like a fake looking effect too. They made it so cheesy looking that maybe it didn't happen.
Like it was his head.
Yeah, it looked like a 1970s like Flash Thompson type of like special effect. But yeah, that was crazy because her head split open and then like her both arms, she was shooting lightning out the sides. But like in comparison to the whole movie, it looked a little cheesy. So yeah, I wonder
if it was actually
on purpose.
It's a fake, So
because
that's why I thought that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, just because I don't like, I'm kind of forgetting what we explained, but because in the movie, that the girl, right, she turns into like a ethereal spirit, her head splits in half, and she kills the three people on stage. But then once that scene ends and Jack sort of comes back, he realizes that like everybody's dead, and it looks as if he done it all.
Yeah.
And
her head was not split open.
And her head was not split open. So it's like,
what's up with that?
You guys since you're bringing this up, another thing that came into my head while I was actually watching the movie was like, how was his career afterwards? Because technically his life should have been better after all of that, right? But after that, he killed everyone, so technically he might be the killer.
Maybe
like people are gonna assume he's the killer.
I feel like that's like it's like the monkey paws thing, right? It's like when you make a deal with the devil, he gives you what you want in the worst way. So like that will be the #1 show that's ever been in the history of ever because he murdered people. Oh,
that's a good one. That's true. So he got his fame through that. Wow.
But more in the line of infamy.
Interesting.
But I mean, he's gonna have his life is over. He lost his wife obviously years ago, but then he was gonna go to jail for the rest of his life, right? Yeah. But he will become the most famous event on history of television.
But
so
my question is, did he though? Because remember, this was a found footage, right? It was a found footage. Was it actually showed on air?
Oh yeah, I'm trying to think. Was it broadcasted live?
But here's the thing. Here's my thing too. Is that
I think it might have been.
I don't know.
I think it might have been live. But one of the thing too is you gotta understand what I was hearing before after the movie was like ending. You hear the cops coming in.
Oh, you
so
do?
The sirens.
Sirens.
So
sirens,
to Josh's point, it will be a headline for everyone else. So
that's what I'm saying. It's not gonna be good for him, even though. But I guess like.
But I mean, he got
thing,
the fame,
if his
right?
wish and his prayers were to become #1, at least for just that time, then I guess it is.
Yes,
right?
it's that classic deal with the devil.
Right,
thing,
where they kind of like
I want to be rich and famous, and you're rich and famous, but in jail. So
right.
Also,
like I gave it to you, but you really didn't get it. So
another thing I kind of wanted to ask, I don't know if you guys have the answer for this. Remember when we were being introduced to the devil, and the devil was saying something by the tree, the pact by the tree. Was that ever clarified? Was there answers to that? What did you guys think of that? Because I wanted to know what happened in that scene of the tree, because apparently he made a pact with the tree, and like I don't know.
I don't know if it's like a movie set or an actual location, right? And I think that's the question.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure during that time that's why he became one of a good host and the late night shows doing well is because of that pact, right?
Yeah. Do we get any
That wish.
any?
But then that's why his wife died.
Wife passed. Do we get any
Yeah.
indication of how long the pact was? Because I get the sense that it did seem like it's been years,
I
right?
think it's been at the beginning
Yeah.
of his career. I think
Okay.
is when that pact was made, and then that's why remember. He always felt like the chosen one. Jack always felt like the chosen one.
Okay.
Remember, they were saying that it has to be him. The devil said it has to be him, and then the devil started saying his name, and the doctor kept
I was
saying
curious,
that.
what does chosen one mean to him or that?
Chosen
or the
one,
cult?
as in I think
or the
to
devil.
release the devil to the world, and which is why, he was ended. I think he has to be the one who does it because he has this pact with the devil, and I don't know, maybe because he was part of the ritual. He was put into that ritual in some way that it can't be just anyone to kill to release this devil.
Is this a way of the devil collecting then? I guess is
Collecting
be.
is that?
collecting
I
the
can
death,
see
but
that.
he's cashing in, I guess.
Yeah.
Remember, they
for
also
sure.
said that the devil that's residing within Lily was a lesser devil. It wasn't like one of the bigger devils. The doctor mentioned that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Assuming it's the same devil that he worked with.
Right.
it could be.
Well, I mean,
Also could be.
Same demon. Yeah.
paranormal wise, right? Sometimes the networks are connected.
Yeah.
But
You've seen that before.
Oh
at
yeah,
least from different
that
things.
could be. But remember when you do like I don't know if you guys watch Possessions, but like there's different names, right?
Right,
Of,
right.
Like,
That would come
that
up
could
as
be
well.
what
They
you
always
could be
ask
possessed
you,
with.
tell me your name, devil, right?
Yeah.
Like that's
Like
always the
how
line.
many is in you, or
Right.
what's your name?
Yeah. So going along with that pact thing, remember how he really wants to be number one. What we don't know what that conversation with the devil was,
Right.
and then all of a sudden we get put into this point in the story where the wife was dying
Yeah.
mysteriously. Remember they emphasized that she was
So-
mysteriously dying.
So at the time of this show, the wife is dead already. Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I feel
sure
like, I think we're supposed to get the feeling that Jack thinks he already paid his debt, right?
Yeah.
And I think we're supposed to get this because like in the beginning of the movie, he's like a really lovable character, and as the movie sort of passes on, you kind of feel like he's kind of grimy, sleazy.
Mm-hmm.
And-
Starting
and,
to.
like towards the middle, I started to get
There's
this
character
feeling.
development, yeah.
Right. I
That's
started
for
to get
sure.
this feeling that like he's okay with trading this career, his wife for this career,
Mhm.
and it kind of like makes you feel a little like you like him less because
Right.
of how okay he is with the fact that like his wife just
Yeah.
got cancer. He seemed to got over it fine because now he's having sexual relations with the
Mhm.
doctor.
With the doctor.
Uh-huh. And so
We assume that he does because I was getting a feeling that they both liked each other, how close they were.
I
Well, I
they
think the-
do
the
The
kind of.
devil said it too.
yeah, the
They
girl
kind of
could-
did allude
Like,
to
you-
it, right?
she's
That they had a
interested in
relationship.
you.
They have a relationship.
Really?
Yeah.
You
What
find
part?
him hot, right,
yeah,
doctor?
Right.
And they
But
would
because
have
of
the
way that they're
intimate
looking at
talks
each-
Right.
in the
of
show,
how
and you
close
can
they
tell.
are, Yeah.
And I think at some point they kind of like gave each other a peck, or he.
They were
gave-
about to
was
kiss.
really, really
No, I think they were
close.
about to kiss, and then they I think it was interrupted by someone.
Right.
Yeah, so that's just the interesting thing that came to my mind now is that I think through that whole movie, he's thinking he already paid his debt and it's over. Like he's already, you know what I mean? And then,
Yeah.
but
I
the
think
devil
that-
comes to collect again.
Yeah, but I think it's like every time that he's like in, this is just my assumption, but I think it's when he's in love. Like every time that he likes someone or he loves someone, they take it away because I feel like he's really really keen to that girl, doctor,
that
feeling.
and I think that's why he killed her.
Yeah.
And I
That's
Oh,
interesting.
they
That's what
also
I was
pointed
getting.
that
That's
out.
interesting.
Everyone he gets close to dies. They
Uh-huh.
said that. They actually said that.
Exactly. Yeah.
In the movie. So you know, obviously the wife, But you know,
So maybe there's a lot more going on
there's
than
a
we
lot
even
more.
know.
I feel
Yeah.
like there might be a preface to actually go into a part 2 on this one.
Actually, I wanted to talk about the ending. You know how we talked about him killing all the people on the set.
Right.
But like that there was a weird scene right after that.
Yeah.
And he like kind of like goes in a where he's in a cult. He
Yeah.
retrieves something.
The trance.
And yeah, and there was all of these people.
The
There was
thing I
in the
hate.
room. There was this. I think the skeleton guy was
The
actually
skeleton guy was
in
in
the same
there.
room there too.
Yeah.
Right.
Like he was part of the.
And they
cult.
kept showing that skeleton guy.
Like,
Right, you
yeah.
you guys remember because in the beginning too they mentioned something about the Grove that like you remember I think was it Gus or no it was the skeptic guy when he was like with your it was like I'm sure you got a lot of buddies in high places at the Grove. Right?
Oh,
And
yes. I
they're-
remember
they're-
that scene.
They're
They're
referencing
referring-
like the Bohemian Grove, right, which is like
Yeah.
that like the occult thing where like
Yeah.
rich people go to like pray to like an owl god.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then that was there at
Yeah.
the
Do
end.
other things,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
That's
And
what I
then-
assumed that cult was.
Yeah, and that was there at the end. There was a guy with the owl mask.
Yeah, the
right?
owl
He
mask
he
is the leader. It seemed like a leader.
Yeah, he seemed like the head guy. So yeah. That I don't know what that was supposed to be.
Yeah.
What was that
So-
supposed to
I'd love
represent?
for the viewers to definitely, you know,
So
Tell
when
us what you think.
when he retrieves that item, was that him retrieving the gift and what he prayed for? And so then he goes into that scene in the room with his wife, and then she's like, "I'm in pain,"
Right.
and I don't know. I vaguely remember that.
Right.
scene.
So it's like, are these flashbacks then?
no, I
Yeah.
don't think it's a flash.
Because the wife is
I'm
dead,
wondering,
right? So
it
what is
telling,
that?
Like the series or like the events that led to it, but backwards.
Wait, kind of like
Or it's just showing
kinda like-
everything in the
Oh.
past.
Yeah, I think, and I think it's
so
just
the owl god thing that was months ago or whatever. That was a ritual that he wasn't taking part in.
probably
Maybe.
taking
And then
part
that
of.
skeleton
Yeah.
guy was there on set.
to
'cause
remind
maybe-
him.
Yeah, or maybe it was a devil in disguise, or.
Do you guys
I don't
remember
know.
that the guy said?
That's
I don't know if
interesting.
it was
Yeah.
his manager. He said, "Someone's in the front and they want to talk to you."
Yeah.
That's the vice president or
Could he be
market.
part of that cult too?
Could be.
That's why he was
We
there.
don't know.
Well, one of the things too, you guys got to keep in mind is they're trying to save the show,
yeah.
Right.
They're kind of desperate.
Remember, they kept saying you gotta have friends in high places.
right? And so maybe that was like, hey, I don't know, maybe they're reevaluating the show, so they kind of want to do really good. So that's one thing to consider too, with that big boss being there in the show, in the audience. So
Yeah, it definitely is interesting though, because it doesn't seem like Gus, right? The other people were a part of the occult thing
no,
with him.
absolutely not.
That
No,
seems like
Gus
something
was
that
definitely against
that,
it.
He seems like a good guy. He's like,
Yes.
"You're not
Yeah.
this kind of guy." He was telling him.
He was trying
Oh,
to
that is
he was
right.
trying to
One of the
realize-
scenes.
And that's where
He-
it kind
that- he
of,
did
to me,
say
that's
that,
what
that's
hit,
right.
right, is the humanity of it, their
Yeah.
approach. Because, Josh, you mentioned this, like, at first he was a very likable guy.
Yeah.
And to me, he was still a likable guy, but then it showed his almost ambitions for how willing he
How
was
far,
to how far
yeah.
he was willing to go through it. He's still kind of a nice guy, but also at the same time, he's getting blinded by all this. Like, I gotta save the show. Oh, we're gonna go number one.
Yeah, like
Or you're gonna be like this big hitter in the
right. Yeah, he puts the little
finish.
girl in danger
In danger
when they
for
went
his,
right. For
Just
his
pushing it a little
benefit,
more, right?
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, that is interesting.
What do
But-
you guys have a different opinion on what that could have been? That whole scene.
Yeah, I really like your idea on it being like the past, like those are just like flashbacks. But watching it live, I was just so confused. I was like,
Yeah.
I was in a trance
this-
along with everyone.
yeah, I was like, is he
Yeah.
in heaven now
Are
with
we-
his
are we
wife?
being-
Is he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what
Where
is
is
it?
he?
Like, is
I
he
was-
getting
That's
his crown?
one of the reasons why I didn't like. That's the part that I really didn't like, because after that, remember, it was Thunderbolt, and then after that, the trance.
Right.
The trance
Yeah,
of
that was
the
a
various
weird
scenes.
5 minutes.
The various
Right,
scenes,
right.
And I'm just like, what's going on? What's going
Yeah,
on?
totally.
But no, that's why I really definitely want to watch this movie again. Maybe there's some key things that I missed in the movie. I honestly really like this movie. I really do. I feel like it's already an cult classic in itself already, and I'm really hoping for a part 2 or you know, what happened in the tree. You know, like
Yeah.
What happened? Well, we kind of woke up from that trance, though.
We did.
We-
Right? He did wake up by
Did, yeah.
using the dagger, which was like the
Yeah.
key to. I felt
Right.
like it's like, oh, he finally used the dagger, and then he wakes up and he says those lines, which I still have to look up. If someone knows, they gotta
Leave in
let
the
us
comment.
know,
Leave in the comment.
right? But it really, I think that may be something we can look at as well. But he did wake up from it.
Right.
But I think what
Yeah.
you guys have, it was really interesting because I thought he was gonna be the one, but then I see you guys having different perspectives. Like maybe I changed my mind a little bit
Ooh, can you elaborate?
because I thought it was just him. It's easy, or it wasn't him. There was the devil.
Right.
And now you guys bring up the fact that hey, it did kind of look extra cheesy in some of those lines, and I'm thinking now maybe he was the
The
one
one who
that
did it. Now we're,
did
we're,
it.
we're persuading you, huh?
And then you know what? I'm kind of going back to how Camille talked about that there was like basically a ritual took place on stage.
Yeah.
And I think
It was.
Yes,
was
that was cool.
that was the end of the ritual. Is you stab
Right,
the girl,
that was
and
the
then
last
maybe
part.
that releases the demon into the world
Remember,
now,
that's
right?
what
Yeah.
they did with the girl too. They said, you remember, they all killed themselves,
Right.
and then
To summon-
only the girl survived.
Right.
And I felt like they did that to transfer the devil into her,
To there. Okay.
and then I guess this one is for the
Releases
devil
it
to
into
be
the world.
released into the world.
Yeah, I don't. But yeah,
Again,
I've sort
I'm
of
not
felt
sure.
like that was so. To go kind of with what you're saying is, who was it? Maybe it was the devil tricking him into thinking. The girl's killing everybody. He stabs the girl, and then now it actually releases the. So it's just a trick the whole time.
Yeah, yeah.
And
You know, like you guys know, like about this old Hollywood thing where they said a lot of Hollywood actors actually sell their souls to the devil to become famous.
Oh, right, yeah.
I've heard.
You know,
That's conspiracy 101.
it's
Yeah,
conspiracy
yeah, that's
101.
like-
I've heard some actors where they, the reason they die so young is because that's the devil collecting their debt.
Right,
I
yeah,
wonder
yeah.
if that's kind of like what they're kind of highlighting in this movie, where
Ooh, Ooh, did he have an age?
I don't
Because
know.
they're like what is it like? 27, right? Is like the popular age where everybody
Yeah,
dies.
dies,
Like
yeah.
Kurt Cobain, Amy
Yeah.
Winehouse.
Right, exactly.
So I wonder if this was a play on that conspiracy.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
I just thought I love this movie.
But like, did he die? Sorry, to challenge that thought. He
What?
didn't die.
That's true.
We
It's
don't
True.
know,
not
but
thought.
his
He's
life
a lot
his
older.
life pretty much ended though.
but he didn't die like Kurt Cobain,
That's true, yeah.
Amy
Yeah, he
Winehouse,
didn't-
right?
They,
Yeah.
they didn't collect his soul.
Right.
Yeah,
They
just
collected his
challenging the thought.
career.
Yeah.
I don't know. When you die, does that mean it really ends? Because there's more to it than just actually ending your life.
Does
physically.
anyone know what happens right after the
don't know.
ritual? Right,
What do you
like
mean,
the
no?
the girl dies, right? The getting stabbed by the actual dagger,
Yeah.
the ritual dagger,
Yeah.
right? What happens after that? Because now he did it.
Yeah,
We
Because
we
were
now
can
just
only
left.
assume.
We were just left with
Yeah.
him saying 3 words
Yeah,
over and over again.
we assume the cops raid the place and
And-
come.
right, they found him, and
But-
Like, was that even the real reality though?
Yeah.
Because they didn't go back to
don't
black
know.
and white.
Oh yeah.
that's
Were we?
interesting.
Oh.
Were we in
That is a
what,
good.
Maybe.
Camille's bringing some really good
maybe
points here.
the illusionist put us in a trance
Right.
and used him instead. Maybe that was the trickery. I have no clue. I have no answer. This movie really making me lose sleep.
That is a really good point, though, because what's the significance of? So the cameras were just still rolling then.
I mean, the cameras never
Assuming,
rolled
right?
down.
Well, but I'm saying like
Did
the
the
black
cameraman
and white
leave?
was sort of
The
like
cameraman left, but
they
it
just
was
ran,
still
I guess.
recording.
Yeah, they all
just
left,
left it
right?
on.
Things
True.
started happening, right?
See, I thought what they were gonna do at the end was show us. You know how like they did they put the guy in illusion. Hey, replay the tape. You know how like we saw what really happened. I thought they were gonna do that again at the end. That's why I was trying to stay for the end, thinking that they're gonna do that. But no, there was nothing. So
that would have been a fun scene. I thought when they because they replayed the girl, but they didn't. I thought they were gonna replay her levitating because I feel like that was the coolest.
Right, I thought they were
How
gonna
can
show
you not-
that
how
too.
can you not
Like,
replay
how are
that?
you gonna explain
Yeah.
that?
How do you
Come
fake
on.
I
that?
thought that's what they were talking about. Like,
That
whether
was-
the levitation was
Yeah.
real or not.
Yeah.
But
They
then that's
stopped it
kind of
right
what made it
away.
unique, right?
No,
They, we
it
all
was
thought they were
keep
gonna
going
go
though.
through
The
that.
thing is, it was gonna keep going, but then all of a sudden, remember, Gus saw, or not Gus, Jack saw something, and he was like, "Guys, can you replay that?" And he kept asking them to replay frame by frame, and all of a sudden we see that the wife, and then everything kind of just, hell broke loose out of
Right.
that.
Oh, that's true. Maybe
But-
they would have
so
got to it.
They would have. I think the intention was getting to that whole entire. That scene was amazing. I actually recorded.
So I wanted to go back to the dagger and the skeptic. I thought I
she was
hated
gonna
the
die.
dagger.
I thought she was gonna
hated
throw
that
the dagger at his face.
I know,
because he was right next to her.
Though, like you guys mentioned, those are things that have literally kept the movie going along. That skeptic, if he didn't do what he did and asked all those questions, like and the little girl
Like
would
he
not
wasn't-
have been like, let's rewind that scene, then it wouldn't have happened, right? That
I
whole
feel like
scene.
Hell Breaking Loose was like 60-70%, maybe even 80% the illusionist's fault because he kept egging it on. I mean, we got to keep in mind that, the doctor and Jack definitely had a huge part of it, but that illusionist guy was like, that's fake. He just, like...
That's a good point, and I forget who mentioned it yesterday, but when he mentioned it, like basically, like there's a lot of tropes where it's like you're not supposed to egg on any demons or the devils, right? Like don't laugh in their face or call them fake, and so maybe that he was
kind of
sort
angered the
exactly.
Never
entity.
So
challenge
that
the
was
devil.
don't
definitely
challenge
my
it.
favorite part of the movie was the skeptic. Out of everything, because like I like to know.
Because you're the skeptic.
I'm usually the skeptic. I like to ask like why? Why do you think that is? And I think that made me really
I'm
like.
the Gus.
That got me going.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I got worms in me.
Worms.
But it was really interesting. That's one of my favorite parts of the movie was when he hypnotized the whole audience.
Oh,
Well,
that was
majority
so
of it.
cool. That
Because-
was so cool.
because-
I was hypnotized and I was in the...
Because during the replay, you'll see, right, when you were looking at the scene, he was ripping things out. But during the replay, he was word for word basically telling the guy what's happening to him.
How about that cheesy looking worm though? The big worm.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was like, that's a puppet.
yeah.
That's a puppet. And that's where I was like, wait, this is an illusion. But then they actually used that same worm in one of the trance,
Right. Yeah.
Right.
which I was
They
like,
did.
What is that?
Yeah.
The worm did show up again.
Yeah, I will
Wait,
say
what?
that scene's a great
It was
scene
a,
though.
it was
right?
like, I gotta
The
show you
skeptic.
someone, and then it was like a,
I think maybe we're just in his head at that point.
Mm.
I think that's what happened.
I don't know.
That whole trance.
I have so many more
Because
questions.
he woke up.
Huh,
anything.
that's a good.
That
I
was
have
his
so
head,
many
right?
more
Because the
questions.
past where you were saying it
I
was
love
all,
the movie, and I
you
have
know.
questions.
But they saw the real part of it too. Remember?
Let's
They were
try to
laughing
interview
at
the director.
sidekick, and he's like, "This is the most
I know.
embarrassing thing that's ever happened to me." When he didn't see that there were worms in his
Oh, right,
body.
right.
And
Well, for the ending part too, the part that's confusing though, like you were saying, is that the person is burned, and it's like, so how
do you
could
How did he
someone.
burn?
yeah
right?
how could he melt the guy's skin in the allotted
But
time?
wait, didn't they have candles?
or
had
electricity? I'm
candles.
trying to, like, was he electrocuted somehow?
They had
I feel
candles.
like
So now I'm going
I
back to my
remember
original
that,
statement,
though.
Josh. There you go.
Maybe.
I'm back. I'm back.
You
Never
can
mind.
snap a guy's neck.
Right.
You can choke a girl and like
With her
slit
own
it.
With the
Like
thing,
that.
right?
But like
The little girl, you can do that.
No,
to
no,
burn
no,
the
no.
body,
I
though.
think they had
'Cause he
candles.
like melted even.
Yeah.
But how are you gonna burn
Candles.
someone with a candle? Here you go. Shh.
It's his
Yeah,
You'll
that's,
run-
why, that's
Oil?
why I think it is
There's
what
oil.
it is. Like I
I
told
don't
you,
know.
I was with you. In
But also, to go back to what you were saying is like maybe it's those ritual items, right? Like so maybe, you know what I mean? There's something going on with those.
A
Like
little bit of play in words here, playing devil's advocate.
yeah, yeah, quite truthfully, but yeah, like maybe
Yeah, I
because
don't
there
know.
was like an
love it,
ashtray or whatever that was looking. in
What
the
is that? Was
skull.
that an ashtray?
charcoal.
Or
Like I don't
Could
know.
be-
For-
Maybe those
to
things have some
burn?
power we didn't see.
Right.
I mean, I was so entranced into the movie. I'm just trying to look at everything. So the little details kind of flew me over, but then I was still able to see the faces of the wife appearing a little here and there. But then again, I could just be going crazy.
See, now I gotta rewatch that because I didn't get that. I did get to see some of the smaller details. Like I thought there was a face on the frame at some point. I thought I saw that, and then I thought I saw the face going back again. So I thought like those small details made it really interesting.
Yes.
And just off the bat, you walk in, they're already in the show. Like you felt like you're already in the show. Like whoa, you're immersed right into it. Right.
You know, another thing I really liked about the movie, I've never worked in the film industry, and it kind of gave us how like they do things, and I actually like that. Like
the back.
Yeah, they're just
like a snippet at least.
Yeah, like how do you you know, it kind of gives a little bit of how they do talk shows.
Oh, you know, my favorite part of during that time is how stressed that you can see.
Everybody.
He was, and
everyone was stressing, and all of a sudden, show's on. I was that's what makes you a good host.
That's true. That made me think a bunch too. It's like how many times I'm watching like Jimmy Fallon, and he just like ran real quick,
right,
just pretending to be normal.
Whoa, welcome back.
He was like sweating and freaking out.
Right.
So I thought it was kind of cool. I mean, that movie had great cinematography for sure. Great use of effects, man.
Yeah.
I love it. Did we ever give the number ratings yet? What we think?
I don't know. I know Camille has some lists there that she wants to cover.
We're actually covering everything that we
already covered?
that I wanted to. Yeah, the screen, visual elements, and like how you guys feel, like any connection.
How do we feel about this? What was the ending? I feel we have multiple endings.
I mean, we can go in a line here. Who wants to go? You can go first.
I guess
this way,
you know I'm going.
Negative.
I know. I'm sorry.
I'm going back to what I said from the original one, where you know it was the devil. I do kind of want to know what happens after that, but now he ends up being that person. Now Josh's take was kind of added to that because now he will be popular again, right? Because he's gonna be head of the news, and this TV show kind of like is gonna be talk of the town. So I'm going back to my first,
what was the
opinion. Huh?
What was your connection?
No connect. I mean, that's what I think. That's how I feel.
Okay.
What connection are we doing?
I don't know.
Oh no! Like I'm just asking if you guys have any connections, and we can remove this part. But like, just if you have any connections, like when you levitated out of your bed when you were younger.
Personal connection.
Personal
Are you talking about personal connection?
That's what I'm talking about.
I mean, you know, we've had personal connections with horror
when you
movies
guys
before.
shared the room together when you guys were younger.
Yeah, well, he farts a lot.
Was that? Well, wasn't that you and Miki that shared the room?
From the movies aspect in general,
in that movie, I don't think there was any connection from my end.
From the movies, from a personal connections perspective, it was more of the humanity of it. Yeah. It's the humanity of him wanting to achieve his goals, and at the same time, the desperation of him keeping it that way. Right? He's keeping it that way. They were making moves to keep that status because they were kind of falling off the ratings. That's what that's how it felt, at least. So that was my connection for that.
Honestly, I'd have to second that because like that was one of my things too, like the stress, like you can feel the stress and like wanting to become number one. Right.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. I'm just kind of realizing it as you said that, but yeah, it's like each of the characters in the movie felt very human. Like
yes,
you felt their personalities and their emotions. Yeah,
for sure.
I'm
talking about Gus.
One of the reasons why I really love that film.
The sidekick.
The director did a really good job on showing humanity in the film, and for me, my connection is how you felt that it was cheesy that he why would you leave a knife in front of that? And I was just like, what? Remember, that was a very chaotic time. Things just happened. They just dropped a bombshell of a devil literally being interviewed in front. And then, they're all kind of panicking, all in a trance, and all of a sudden...
You are just not letting go of that dagger. Yeah, I have been talking to him about that dagger since day
But see,
one.
I got to understand Camille's point of view. You guys have full-time people, experts, looking at the scene, and you have a dagger there by a 13-year-old. Come on, think about it.
How many times have you seen
After the reading, they just
After the reading,
After
they
the
just
reading.
did. You know,
Hold on.
knowing how dangerous that 13-year-old
Have
is.
you
Yes.
seen a
Come on.
devil
That's what
ever
I said.
live?
Right. That's why
Come
we
on,
gotta keep the
wouldn't-
dagger
would-
out by
I
the
know.
Wouldn't you
Hey, okay, so
be in a
if it's not,
trance?
so
I would
you're
be in
already
a
scared
trance.
of like the possessed person or the
Right.
devil that's living in her.
Yeah.
And then, or if that's not enough for you, it's the kid. Are you worried about that kid?
But remember-
'Cause that's not safe inside.
Oh, I love that. I love that girl just because she did such a creepy job. Remember when she was first introduced? She was always looking at
Oh
the
my
cameras.
god.
I was like, oh.
Question. I wanted to know if that was her real face. If that was really her face when she was possessed. Like, did they put makeup on her or is that a different
I
person?
think it's a different
was
person.
That a guy?
It was.
It looked
I feel like it
bigger.
was a
It
guy's
looked
face.
bigger. It looked bigger.
Right?
I don't
was
know,
like,
but it was
oh my
creepy.
gosh.
No, I that was amazing. But I'm talking about like at the beginning when they first introduced her. Remember? Hey, Lily. She
Oh,
was
she
already
kept
staring
looking
at
at
the
the camera.
cameras.
But I
And
gotta
then they're
feel
like,
like-
just look at me. Look at the camera.
Yeah, but I feel like that even that's more the humanity is like when I looked, I felt like she was a 12-year-old girl who was excited
yeah.
and
She looked
gleeful
older
to
than
be
12.
on TV or wherever.
She
But
look, no, but she's supposed to be 12, but I feel like
oh yeah,
That
really.
made me
But
feel like it was more unnatural.
Oh,
because
really?
like she was already staring at the screen.
Remember,
like
they had-
they
okay.
they have
are
a-
like
that was a
deliberately
different-
trying to scare us, and that's what I was getting out of it. Like making us feel creeped out by this kid that's already looking at the every screen
Right.
that was like looking at her. You know what I mean? At her, or every
Yeah.
camera that was pointed at her direction.
I mean, that was a
That
different
felt
time, right? You
kinda
know how
fake.
like we're all kind of used to cameras now,
Right,
with our
right.
phones. But remember, during that time, they didn't have camera phones.
that's kind of what I meant. That's
Exactly.
that might have been
So
the
she's
first
so
time she ever saw a
excited.
camera.
So she's
Exactly,
like,
100%.
"Yes."
Right.
Maybe
So,
she
I
was
don't know.
excited.
Yeah.
Hey, someone talked to her on the set. Hey, this is gonna be the first time you're gonna be on TV. As a
Right,
little kid,
right,
she's
yeah.
excited. She's
One of the
looking at
reasons, though, that remember the doctor was like, she's distracted. We can't do this. She's distracted.
She kept looking at
Right.
the crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like there's the
A
crowd,
lot.
the lights, the cameras. We can't do this.
Yeah, that was very much foreshadowing, right?
Yeah.
When she was like, as long as I have her attention, it's like, well, this is the most
Yeah.
distracting.
Right.
place to do
Yeah.
it.
You won't get that
Yeah,
attention
Yeah.
for
you get
sure.
that.
She was telling the crowd to shush. Like I
During
am
the
trying
reading,
to
yeah.
have
Right.
me
I'm
and
trying to keep her
hers.
attention.
You know,
It
like
took her a
the
while to
ritual.
get her back in, remember?
Could not.
She
You
did
know?
not. I mean, the
She
whole
did.
set died. I mean,
Well, no. At the first, like,
Right, I
when
know.
She first got in, and then after she failed. Yeah. but-
Oh well, she wasn't tied anymore.
Yeah. Well, going back to my connection, because remember, this was my connection. My connection was I felt the stress. Okay, it was a very frantic, and then there was a lot of emotions. You know, that bombshell of a scene going on with the devil and everything. I would be in a trance too. So I felt like, you know what? I give everyone, even the audience and the specialists, a pass. Why did let the knife be next to that demon girl? Okay, that's what I think, and I feel like it's okay.
No,
That's
yeah.
your opinion.
It's not a plot hole. Go ahead, Josh.
7.45 out of 10. We
Nice.
added all of ours and divided it by
Yeah.
4.
So you had 6.1,
7.5.
8.5, 7.7. Weird. but okay.
We really use the
Honestly,
decimal system
but
Yeah,
here.
we
remember, like,
really take this seriously.
Horror movies, they're always rated low.
take it serious. Yeah, they
in
do.
IMDb
They do.
or any other like.
Yeah. What was it? Conjuring 1 and 2
Yeah.
are like 7 something, and I give those solid 8 to 9. So, whatever. But going back to our 7.45 rating, we have a pretty accurate rating ourselves because IMDb has it at 7.5.
Well.
Pretty
We
good.
don't always conform to this, right? That's what we should do.
That's my 6.1 and 7.7. Okay.
That was fun.
That was really fun. It was so nice to watch this movie.
It was a hell of a time.
Then, yeah.
We do recommend it.
Yeah. Till
2 thumbs
then,
up.
we'll watch another horror movie and we'll tell you our next review. Dun, 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 dun.
Or if you guys have any
Love
other
it.
questions.
Like and subscribe.
Bye bye.
Good to see you again, Jack.
Lily, return to me. I really don't think it's a good idea, Jack. She's becoming more unpredictable.